Hey everybody, Nick here, and today I got a review for you of the Manker PL10. This is a weird little gadget in that it is a pen, and it's a flashlight. Neat. So I want to thank my buddy Ian over at Tech and Tools for sending this guy along. Let's do a quick size comparison here. First to some pens. Here is your Bic Click Stick pen. Here is your Hinderer Investigator. So you can see this is about the same length as an Investigator, just way chubbier. Pilot G2. And then on the flashlight side, compare it to an EGTAC D25A, AA battery flashlight, to a AA battery, well, a AA size battery, CR123 here, 18650 battery, and oh, what the heck, EGTAC SX25L3. Anyways, let's go on ahead and jump into the good, the great, the bad, and the ugly of your little Manker PL10 here. Okay, so on the good side, this is a pen light that is both a pen and a light. I appreciate that. It seems very honest. Most pen lights are just weirdly shaped flashlights, but this is a pen and a light. And actually, the pen on this guy is not bad at all. It's not the best thing in the world to write with, but at the same time, it's a little gel pen. No real argument there. So, it works. And in fact, it comes with a couple of different refills. You can see here, just a little boring gel pen refill. You're not going to get a whole lot of life out of it, but if they give you a couple of them, should be more than sufficient for the time you need. So, there you go. That's nice. Next nice thing about this guy is that it is waterproof, which is kind of nice. Anytime that you have a little flashlight pen, so anytime you have these little electronics, you got to worry about water, but this guy is IP, some odd waterproof. Basically, you can drop it in the drink and pull it back out, and it's going to be just fine. So I appreciate that very much. It's one less thing you got to worry about with your EDC, with the waterproofness. Next issue is the glass breaker tip on this guy. That's not an issue, actually. That's, I guess, a positive. Meaning, as you can see here, there is a glass breaker tip on this guy. Personally, I don't break nearly as much glass as everybody else in the EDC community seems to, but it's one of those things that can't hurt to have, I suppose. If you're in a car with the underwater, you need to crack the window, you've got something handy for you. Or if you're a paramedic, as I just don't get it, but either way, it's there for some reason. Why not? The price on this guy is not bad at all. You're looking at $45, which is pretty decent. It's enough that you get some substance here, but it's inexpensive enough that you don't have to worry too much about it. And even if you need to buy more refills by buying a new pen, it's not the total end of the world. So there you go. Next wonderful thing about this guy is that the machining on it is actually pretty good. This knurling here is nicely done. There's plenty of friction to it. And just overall, it's a nicely machined little object here. I'm impressed with the work here. Is it going to be, absolute top of the line in terms of threading? No, but it's surprisingly good for the price and for being a little Chinese pen light thing. So there you go. And then finally, on the good side, this thing looks like some really high-tech little gadget, like a little miniature lightsaber or a sonic screwdriver if you're a Doctor Who fan. It's absolutely weird, but it's kind of neat in that way. I'm a big fan of the design of it. It looks like something really, truly excellent. Even if, that has some sharp edges and the ergonomics on it aren't perfect because of it, it's a really, really neat little design here. It looks absolutely fancy and futuristic in a way that a lot of your little things just don't tend to. So they really went to town on that design-wise, and I kind of appreciate that. So that's your good. It's a pen light. It's a pen and a light. It comes with a decent enough pen and some extra refills. It's waterproof. It's got a glass breaker tip for some reason. The price is fine. The machining is good, and the design is neat. Let's just be real here. Let's talk about the great. Actually, two great things about this life. There are many great things about this life, but about this light, there are just two. First off, the flashlight. Oftentimes these sorts of small flashlights have a really terrible light coming out of them. But believe it or not, the tint on this light, and it's really odd to show that off on camera, is absolutely excellent. As a flashlight tint snob, some lights have better color rendering, where if you point it at something and you know the color of that thing, it still looks that color under the flashlight. As opposed to a lot of lights where everything turns kind of a bluish sort of color. This has a very nice LED in it. It's got a Nichia 219 LED, which is great. And so this is a great pen light for somebody who is absolutely a tint snob in lighting. That really blew me away. This has better light coming out of it than some of your higher-end flashlights out there in the world. And so I appreciate the fact that they gave a damn and they used a nice LED there. Other issue, very often these sorts of tiny little lights have watch batteries or something like that, where it's basically disposable, or where you need to carry weird chargers or buy weird batteries. Well, this guy comes with this. That's a mini USB port. I'm sorry, a micro USB port. So you can actually charge this light just using a USB cable. That's really neat, and it turns this into something that's much more practical and reasonable. If you use it for a little while, next time you're near a computer, you just plug in your pen light. Again, it's very futuristic. It's very weird, but I kind of like that very much. The fact that you don't have to worry about another charger or replacement batteries is a beautiful thing. So the flashlight part of this is actually surprisingly well done here, with the good tint and the really good built-in recharger. So that's what's great about this, is they are giving a damn up in the flashlight country. So on the bad side, first off, this little guy is more on the heavy side than you'd kind of expect. You're looking at something along the lines of 2.05 ounces here, which is that's pretty heavy. I mean, if you compare that to a lot of your other, just a pen option, you're looking at 0.6 ounces here. And if you're looking at other lights, you're going to be in that ballpark for a much more substantial, much higher quality light. So this is not a lightweight sort of gadget. It's okay, not the end of the world, but it's something to keep in mind. As you're controlling the light, it's very easy to accidentally start untwisting the cap, because the twisting motion is the same to turn the light off or to open up the cap. And similarly, there have been times where I've been trying to uncap the pen, one-handed, and I end up turning the light on instead. Not the end of the world, and I don't know of a good way to get past that issue, but it is something, come on. It is something you occasionally need to work with two-handed. Not the end of the world. There you go. Ergonomically speaking, there are some sharp areas on here. These little cutouts right here were a little bit on the sharp side, and on the pen side, this little pull-through here is a little bit sharper than it needs to be, and that hurts the ergonomics of using this pen, but at the same time, it's not a pen you're going to be using all that often anyways, so not the end of the world. The refills, like I said, are some very weird cut-down sort of gel thing. They give you a couple of refills, so it's not the end of the world, but you're probably not going to be able to find more refills after it's over unless Manker is still around and functioning. And that's not necessarily a great bet. But the thing is, the price is low enough that even if all you get out of it is, 4 or 5 refills that they include, such is life. And you might be able to cut something else down to make it fit. So there you go. Then finally, the light. So I've been singing this light's praises, and there is a lot of good here with the low and the high mode. And, both of these modes are okay for navigating a darkish room, and high mode particularly is actually stronger than you would expect out of this little guy. But the thing is, the battery life on it, being a small little pen light, is fairly limited. You're looking at 30 minutes on the high mode, and you're looking at 6.5 hours on the low mode. That's respectable enough, and the 30 minutes will get you, from the barn to your car late at night, if that's something that comes up very often for you, maybe. But it's still something you're going to want to charge regularly. The fact that there is the charger built in there really takes a lot of the sting off of that. But you got to keep that in mind. This is not going to have the durability and, the duration of a more conventional AA or CR123 light, because it's just so damn small. But again, that's the bad here. There's not a whole lot of bad, though. All told, it's a little on the heavy side. It's easy to untwist the cap accidentally. The ends of the cap are a little bit sharp. There's some other sharp areas here. There are some limited and weird refill options for this guy, and the battery life is really best thought of as a backup-only sort of light. You don't want this as your primary flashlight. Two ugly things about this light. First off, I really hate the billboarding on the clip here. Just drives me crazy. Because if you've got this in your pocket, everyone's going to just be seeing Manker, Manker, Manker all day long. Kind of ugly and bold and whatever. So I don't like the billboarding there. But a more functional ugly issue is that the cap on this guy does not post. And that means that the only way you can write with this pen is by holding it like this, and that's just barely big enough for my relatively small hands. So this is just not a pen you're going to want to write with it for any length of time. This is a jot something down on the side of the road sort of pen, rather than a jot something down in the meeting or take notes sort of pen. This is just not a pen you're going to want to use on a regular basis because of that. And so there's your ugly. This billboarding is just nasty. And, if this were my light, oh no, it's engraved in there, so you can't even take it off. Oh, that's brutal. Maybe hit it with paint thinner so the paint goes out of there. Either way, billboarding is ugly, ugly, ugly. And it's just not a great pen for writing with for any length of time. Let's talk final conclusions here. Final conclusion is that, at some level, this is not the light you want if you need a light. I mean, it's not very bright. The battery life isn't stellar. Although the tint's great, it's just not the best solution if you need a flashlight. And similarly, it's not the pen you want if you want a pen. It's got a weird refill. It's got poor ergonomics. It's just not stellar in that way either. And if you're carrying a decent quality pen and a smartphone, you're probably slightly better equipped anyways, because the phone will have a flashlight built in. It's going to be just about as bright, although the tint's better on this little guy. And the pen is going to be a better pen than what this comes with. That said, this is still weirdly compelling. It appeals, I think, very strongly to my inner 14-year-old gadget nerd who used to stock the shopper image catalogs. Oh my God, that's awesome. It's a pen, that's a flashlight, that's a glass breaker. I mean, that's what this is tickling here, because it's a lot of interesting little technology in a really neat-looking package. You've got an emergency light, an emergency pen, and this really awesome lightsaber-y design. So it's absolutely unique, and it's definitely a conversation piece, and this would be a stellar gift, because who doesn't want a lightsaber? I mean, if I had the ability to send myself a package back through time to when I was 14, in addition to many notes of warning, this would be in there absolutely 100%, because this is neat. This would have brought me so much freaking joy as a kid to own this guy. As an adult, unfortunately, I think I'm now boring enough that I would rather carry a light that I really trust and a pen that I really like. But, at the same time, my inner 14-year-old is really disappointed with me because this is really, really neat. So, I mean, final conclusion, is it a gem? No, but my inner 14-year-old sure thinks it is. So, there you go. It's neat. We'll just leave it at that. And so if you're interested in something neat, or if you're looking for a great gift, right here, check out your Manker. Hope you have enjoyed this review, that it lit up your life, and I made the right call, and that you have yourselves an absolutely wonderful rest of the day, and be kind to your inner 14-year-old. Bye now.